I liked the Core Keeper Playtest by Sold Out Games and Pugstorm. It was a blast to play around in and explore, but it was very clearly an incomplete game. Ironically, what this cave-dwelling game lacks right now is depth. Yeah, I'll pick up my comedy award in the mail, thanks. To be specific, the combat in Core Keeper is very bare bones. Your weapon options include sword, 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 but it's covered in gunk. There's ranged options too, like the slingshot, musket, and bombs, but even if you get some of the more interesting weapons, your strategy seldom deviates from point the murder stick at the enemy and click. Sometimes they throw a curveball at you and you have to run away from the enemy's attack. When I was clearing out slimes around my starting area, this was fine because I expected the combat system to grow more complex, but it didn't. So how do other games approach combat? Terraria, which Core Keeper has been compared to a lot, has a metric buttload of weapons and there's always a few usable options for every stage of a playthrough. Some weapons work particularly well against certain enemy types, so diversifying your arsenal is encouraged. You have to learn and anticipate the boss's attacks to avoid them, helped by the many accessories that make you more maneuverable. What about a game like Minecraft that doesn't have that many weapon options? The variety in combat situations comes from your positioning instead. You can be crept up on or surrounded on all sides, but you always have tactical choices like finding high ground, taking cover, hell, building cover, or just burying yourself in a 2x1 if you're a weenie. Of course, Minecraft is 3D. I'm not saying Core Keeper should be 3D, but the combat needs some sort of extra dimension to be interesting, even if not the spatial kind. I think some more craftable weapon options would go a long way, for example an axe that moves slower but does more damage, and I would like to see movement that's more complex than the basic run. It doesn't have to be a crazy new mechanic, but a little bit more nuance would help make the combat less mindless. Now, I don't mean to preach from my amateur YouTuber's soapbox, and I'm not trying to be harsh on Core Keeper either. I'm making this video because I'm invested in what could be a favorite game of mine down the line. No matter what, I'll be checking out the beta when it comes out, and I'll probably make a video about that too, so subscribe not to miss that. The Core Keeper Alpha had a great atmosphere and a lot to discover, but it was souring to know that I was really ransacking all these places to work towards the next tier of bland gear in order to win more bland fights. No matter how many new environments are added, I think Core Keeper will suffer greatly if something isn't done about the combat. This video is coming out pretty late and it might already be redundant, and maybe the devs are already working on the combat, or maybe none of this made sense and I'm full of crap. That's really up to you to decide. If you want to see how I made Final Fantasy XII hard as balls, click the top video. Bye.